Hi, fellow travelers. This is Rose Forbes, and I'm a travel agent with Roseboro Travel in DeLand, Florida. And today I'm going to be giving you 5 great tips, insider tips to choosing your perfect cruise. I've been on 48 different cruises, so I think I have a great base of experience to figure out what a great cruise is depending on who you are, who you're traveling with, and what your interests are. So let's start with the first thing that I think is really important to choosing the right cruise, and that is going at the right time of year. Now, not everyone has the luxury of choosing the best time of year, because often you're going because you have certain times off of school or work, and that requires you to go during spring breaks and Christmas and Thanksgiving, which are generally more expensive times of the year, and they're also definitely the most crowded times of the year. So if possible, if you can choose off-season, that's when you're going to have probably your best experience. So when you have low seasons, you definitely have more deals and, of course, less crowds. And also something to consider about taking a cruise in the Caribbean is during March through November is hurricane season. So if you think that you might be possibility of seasickness, something that you might want to consider going outside of those times if possible. And there's also chances of being rerouted when there's hurricanes in the region, so you need to be careful about making sure if it's really important to you that you hit certain ports. They may be skipped during that time of year. So ideally, you can choose to go through September. The first week of December is always a fantastic time to go because people have just finished with their Thanksgiving trips or they're preparing for their Christmas trips. So all kinds of hotels and cruise ships are usually sailing fairly emptier on those times of the year. So if you can find the time to go then, it's great. Also, surprisingly, Valentine's Day is a great time, and Memorial Day. So if you do need to work around holidays for your work or school, those are some good times to go if you can avoid those spring break and Christmas times. The second thing I think is the most important thing when you're choosing a cruise is to choose the right cruise line for you. There are quite a lot of different cruise lines out there, from super budget to extreme luxury. Some of them are all-inclusive. Others of them you may feel you got a great deal, but when you get on board, you may feel that you're nickel and dimed because everything costs extra. So choosing the right cruise line has a lot to do with your energy, with your age, with the things you like to do, and really importantly, who you're all traveling with. So if you have a bunch of different generations going on the same cruise, which often happens, you'll want a cruise line that has a lot of flexibility and a lot more options to satisfy everybody in every age group. The third thing that I think is really important in choosing a perfect cruise is to pick the right ship. So now that you picked the right time of year and you've chosen the cruise line you'd like to go on, picking the right ship is important because we need to figure out how many days you want to go for. If you want to go for like a 7-day cruise or longer, a newer ship is definitely going to be more enjoyable for you because you're going to be on that ship longer. If you're just going to be taking a 3 or 4-day cruise, the age and renovations of the cruise isn't maybe that much, not that important because you'll be probably spending a lot more time outside of your cabin and perhaps in the ports. So something to consider for sure, looking at a newer type ship if you're going on a longer cruise. Number 4 in the category of picking your perfect cruise and making the experience the best it could possibly be is to choose the right cabin on the ship. Quite often you may find that there are great deals on cruises, and they are based on a guarantee, a cabin guarantee, which means you just pay the certain price for an inside cabin or an ocean view cabin or a balcony cabin. They won't give you a cabin assignment at the time, but they will assign you the day before usually, or maybe a few days before, to whichever cabin they choose. Excuse me. So the thing about the guaranteed cabin is that you may end up in a spot that is not very desirable for a relaxing vacation. You may be under the disco or under the Lido deck where the chairs are being moved around all the time. You may be somewhere that's a little too loud. So it's very important if you have seasickness too, to make sure you try to get in the middle of the ship. That means the middle of the ship front and back, as well as the middle, top, and bottom. So the higher up you are on a ship, the more you'll feel the movement, and the more to the front and the back, you'll definitely feel the movement more as well. So those categories of cabins usually do cost a little bit more to get midship. That is the most desirable. But if you go with a guarantee cabin, the chances of you getting into one of those, next to the elevator kind of things are more probable. but you will be saving a lot more money. So you got to give and take a little bit on that one. And the last tip I have today for choosing your perfect cruise is to pick the right number of days to travel. Of course, this depends on who you're traveling with, but if it happens to be just one other person, you and your spouse, you and your partner, you may have more flexibility. But keep in mind that if you're choosing a 3 to 4 day cruise, maybe because you're not sure if you'll like cruising, or if you're not sure that you want to be stuck on a ship for that long, or many different reasons, you're going to find a different type of traveler on a 3 to 4 day cruise than you will on a 7 or more day cruise. The 3 to 4 day trips are going to definitely have people who are more party minded. They're definitely out for trying to get the most of their money. They're probably going to be drinking a little more heavily. They're going to be a little louder. They're just really out to try to make as much of the time as they can because it's such a short amount of time. On 7 days and longer, you'll find a more seasoned traveler, people who have cruised before. And that's, if that's the type of environment that you're looking for, see what you can do to take those days off of work because it will probably be a little more serene experience than the shorter cruises. And you'll also find too that on the 3 to 4 day cruises, even 5 day cruises, they may not be as good of a value as a 7 day cruise. So when you start looking at the prices, don't only look at the end total price, take a look at what the price per night is. And if you can get that around $100 a night, $150 a night per person, that's a pretty good deal. But you'll find that sometimes the 3 and 4 day cruises go a little over that, and you'll find that the 7 days definitely have more bargaining power, it seems, as well. Because they do want to get you on that longer cruise so that you'll spend more money on shore excursions, so that you'll buy more liquor on board, so that you'll gamble in the casinos longer. So they would really love to discount a 7 day cruise for you more than a 3 to 4 day cruise, hoping in the end that you will leave some more money behind. So those are my 5 insider's tips to choosing your perfect cruise. Again, I am Rose Forbes with Roseboro Travel. If you'd like to talk to me about booking a cruise, give me a call at 386-747-7427. And you can also find me on Facebook at Rose Forbes, Roseboro Travel. That's ROSEBOROUGH. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.